Hello, hey, welcome back YouTube. Today we are doing a stay-at-home cooking video. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. Also, I went to the fireworks festival, but there actually surprisingly wasn't too much going on over there. So kind of lost some time to be able to go out and travel and do a recording for something else. So today I figured, why not go ahead and show you guys how to make your own classic Korean dish, tteokbokki. This is one of my favorite things to eat. And not only is it one of my favorite things to eat, it is one of my favorite things to make. It's so simple and can be made a couple different ways, which makes tteokbokki really, really cool. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show off the ingredients and let's get started. And bam, here are all the things you're gonna need. Sugar, garlic is a little optional, gochugaru, gochujang, fish cake or omuk, tteokbokki, and some sausage for some extra meat, also not really necessary. You can also add some other things like green onions. Green onions are off to the side right now, but these are kind of the main things here. Also, to get a delicious broth, now I bought one of these. These things are a time saver. To get a kind of tteokbokki broth, usually you would use kelp and dried anchovies, and then you just kind of boil that for a couple of minutes, and then you get this really deep and rich broth. However, I don't have the time for that, and also it's just kind of, I don't make tteokbokki all that often, so having those kind of dried ingredients, really smelly ingredients in my house for a long time isn't usually the best. So if you can find one of these, it's super great because it's just like a tea bag essentially filled with all the ingredients you would need. It has a bit of extra stuff in there, but it doesn't matter, it's totally fine. And it's perfect to use. And the last thing, right, when you're eating tteokbokki, guys, most importantly, we gotta have some makgeolli. Now this is the makgeolli that I bought at Boksunduga. This one I've tried a little bit. We're gonna have a little bit of this as well to enjoy our makgeolli with. So let's get started. Now then, before you get your tteokbokki started, you wanna get your broth obviously done. I've already done this ahead of time, but you just take about a cup or two of water. Also, by the way, YouTube, I'm not going to be accurate with these measurements because I don't measure anything anyways, but you guys can see it's about maybe this or so deep of just water, and then the bag that I use to then make the broth. Now that this is done, we're going to go ahead and get started with our stuff to cut. Now then, as I said before, the garlic is optional. I like adding garlic. You guys can see that I have some frozen garlic here, but it's just regular garlic that I've just stuck in the freezer to keep longer. And we're gonna go ahead and chop these bad boys up. All right, I have my garlic chopped. Now, if you're using garlic, you don't need to really give it a fine chop, but it really is up to you. I like to give it just a really rough chop, as you can see. The reason the garlic's not important is because I just like to chuck it in there for an extra little something to munch on while I'm eating the tteokbokki. Some people might actually use garlic in the sauce itself, but I just kind of dump the pieces in as the broth is brewing. But again, garlic totally up to you. How much garlic you want to use, also up to you. I love garlic, so I tend to use upwards 8 to 10 cloves of garlic basically. Anyways, let's go ahead and cut up our sausage now. As you guys could see earlier, I have got some Primo Korean sausage. This is one of my favorite brands of sausage. No particular reason. It's pretty cheap and it tastes good. It's got a little bit smoky taste, but again, sausage completely not necessary. There's a lot of like the basic tteokbokki does not have any sausage. I personally like having a little bit of sausage in my tteokbokki. It just kind of gives it a little something else to eat while you're eating the rice cake and the fish cakes. Right, so now that we got those chopped up, the next thing to make is the actual spicy sauce that makes tteokbokki delicious and spicy and amazing. Let's get it started. So in a bowl, you're gonna wanna take about a cup or so of gochujang, which is this boy right here. Now, I know that most of these ingredients are not found in your common American supermarket, but you'd be surprised. I think nowadays in like the Asian section, they might actually have gochujang. But about a cup or so of that stuff, toss in a bowl. Then you're gonna mix that with the gochugaru, which is the powder I showed you guys earlier. This stuff right here. And some sugar. And that's pretty much it. That's all it takes for the actual sauce. Now, I like to add a little bit of extra stuff. I like to add a little bit of soy sauce for a little more MSG or a little more saltiness to it. I also like to add a little bit extra, just pure MSG in there. Because why not? You get it as flavorful as possible. And at this point in the sauce, yeah, you could also add some garlic in there. You could add a little bit of chopped onion. It really, honestly, is up to you. But those 3 things are the basic things you're gonna use. You can even replace the sugar with the honey, if you so desire. It's gonna make it a little thick, but really is up to you. So let me get started on this sauce. For those of you who've never seen gochujang before, it's just a sweet chili paste. Just chili paste. Next, our chili flakes or gochugaru. Now, this is the part where you have to be careful. This is what's going to give it the tteokbokki that kick that you want. So really put however much of this you want, and that's how spicy it's going to be. I like really spicy tteokbokki, so I'm just going to kind of pour it in here. It's going to just, yep, just keep going. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that's good. Now, you do want to try and avoid putting too much as well. Not just because for the spice issue, but you also want to make sure that the gochugaru kind of breaks down. So sometimes if you put too much gochugaru, as I've found, or the chili flakes, it tends to just kind of spread in the broth and doesn't actually kind of meld in, and so you're just left with chili flakes in the soup, and that's not really good because the chili flakes are really spicy but not a lot of flavor. They don't have too much flavor. Next up, sugar. Now, sugar also really is up to taste. It really depends on how sweet you actually end up wanting your tteokbokki to be. You do also want to keep in mind you don't want it to be super sweet, and so this is something you can fine tune and adjust later. So if you find yourself eating your tteokbokki and you're like, it doesn't have a really strong flavor, or it's a little too spicy, or it doesn't have that kind of taste that I need, you can always add a bit of sugar later, but you can't really take away that sweetness. Just like with most things in cooking, you can add to it, but you can't take away, basically. So I would avoid putting too much at the beginning, and then if it has not enough sweetness to it, just add some later. And I think at that point it'd be a little bit more comfortable to use some honey as opposed to sugar. But again, it is up to you what you want to do in there. So I have my 3 ingredients in there. I'm now going to add a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of some MSG, and I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. Those of you who have never seen MSG before, it kind of just looks like that. I'm kind of spilling a lot on my cupboard or my cutting board here, but that's fine. It's just a basic bag, and I just sprinkle a little bit on there. You don't need a lot because we already have the soy sauce and we have that fish broth, but I like to give it just that little extra edge of flavor, basically. Now then, when you're all done, should kind of look like this about, and then you just mix it all up. Now at this point, when you're kind of mixing up the sauce, this is kind of when you want to turn on your broth, have it heated up. But if you're doing the cooking all at the same time, normally your broth should be done by the time you get to this point, all boiled up and ready for you to just toss this in there. However, I had this off for a little bit just for the recording purposes, so I'm heating it back up now. But yeah, it should look like this at the end, kind of this. It almost looks exactly like the gochujang. And you want to try to make sure you get that mixed in as much as you can, just because you don't want like too much of like the sugar or the gochugaru to really stand out on its own. You want to make sure everything kind of gets mixed, so that way when you're mixing in the broth, it becomes easier to do. One of the reasons why I add the soy sauce besides the flavor, also I forgot to mention, is it kind of helps a little bit with the mixing, because gochujang is quite sticky, especially after you've put it in the fridge. It's very solid, and I mean everything you're in there is just dry, so adding a little bit of soy sauce kind of helps mix that up a bit. You can also add some chamgirum or sesame oil to give it a little bit of flavor, give it a little bit of easier mixture, basically. But again, totally up to you. All right, so we're just gonna kind of dump this paste in here, sufficiently hot. All right, I think we did a good job. All you do is kind of mix that in there, and you'll get this nice, start getting the red broth that tteokbokki is known for. I do recommend having a kind of deep dish pan like I have right now. You probably don't want to use a basic pan to do this, or a pot is kind of a bit too much. Just something similar to what I have right here is probably the best thing you want to go for, but if you can make it work in a pan, by all means go for it. For me, the color of the tteokbokki sauce is always going to tell me what the tteokbokki is going to be like. Mine looks very, very dark red, so this is probably going to be quite a spicy tteokbokki, which is perfect for me. But if you don't want it to be spicy, you don't want it to look like this, maybe a little less gochugaru, and you're all set. I have just added my sausage and garlic. Now I'm going to go ahead and prep the fish cake and dough. All right, so I've got my fish cake here. This is some premium fish cake that I got from the mart. Now, this is going to be a little hard to find, I think, in your local American shop. Now, there's not much to do with the fish cake, in all honesty, but I do like to cut it up a bit, just because when you get the fish cake, it comes pretty big, and it also comes with a seasoning pack in it, but this is for like oldang style. So the fish cake kind of in a large square rectangle like this, but for tteokbokki we kind of want it in more like bite-sized strips basically. But if you want to keep it big, keep it big. So I just kind of cut it a little bit and put it into easy bite-sized pieces. All right, we have the fish cakes all cut up. Time to throw them in the sauce. Fish cakes have now been introduced. We're good to go for our tteok. Now, don't worry if your tteokbokki sauce is looking a little liquidy. The tteok and the fish cake are really going to start thickening it up. So you don't worry at this point yet. When the tteok or the rice cakes are done cooking, and if it's still runny, there are a couple ways to thicken it up. So let's go ahead and start adding our rice cake. All right, for rice cakes, just standard rice cakes. Now these are ones that you can just buy the marts. You can make rice cakes as well, but ain't nobody got the time to do that. So I just buy these from the mart. You can wash these or just throw them in there. Honestly, it doesn't matter too much. I like to just kind of dump them in there for that extra little bit of starch to thicken it up a bit more. So let's go ahead and put these bad boys in there. Bulk is inside. Give a little mix. Make sure everybody is now acquainted. And you are pretty much done. Now we just got to let this kind of boil and bubble and go through the process of cooking, and I'll check back with you guys when it's all done. All right, our tteokbokki is pretty much done. It's not super thick, but this is at the exact kind of rich broth that we want it to be at. Now, to make it thicker, like a really, really thick tteokbokki, you could add some potato starch to kind of give it a more kind of paste-like feeling, as opposed to this kind of runny feeling. But this is the consistency that you want. This kind of like almost thick, but not quite. Like that's exactly what you want right there. As consistent. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Oh, I'm excited. Let's see. Ooh. Whoo. That is very, very, very nice. I'm very excited to eat this. This is so good. It's got the exact amount of spice, just the right amount of sweetness, and that MSG coming in clutch. All right, let me pop it off the stove. All right, YouTube, there we go. We've got our tteokbokki all ready. Yeah. All right, we have our tteokbokki done. I'm excited. Let's go ahead and try it. But first, we gotta get our makgeolli ready. This cup is mighty empty. So I have the boksundoga makgeolli. This is the basic signature one. This is the takju, which is no fizz. So go ahead and open this one a little bit. Should be okay to open. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Ooh, very nice. Now this one, on the other hand, the signature one is mighty fizzy. They did say if you guys go to boksundoga, they do recommend that if you're going to mix it, because you do have to mix makgeolli, be very, very careful when you mix it. You don't want to shake it like you would like normally with makgeolli, because this one is very, very, very fizzy. Now then, I do want to do the recommendation of 2-to-1. So I have this as my measuring. And we're just gonna go 2-to-1, 2-to-1. All right, I have my healthy cup of makgeolli. I have it at 2-to-1. I poured about 4 of the normal and 2 of the tteokbokki, so perfect 2-to-1 ratio, or 4-to-2 ratio, basically. No, it is not milk. No, it's not horchata. No, it's not eggnog. It is makgeolli. Let's give it a try. Ooh. Oh, that's a good recommendation. Yes. All right, now then, go ahead and dig into this. YouTube, I'm so sorry that you guys don't get to eat any of these delicious foods. I'm gonna eat this without you. Look at that. Tteokbokki, tteok, and rice cake. Let's get into it. Get some sausage. Not to toot my own horn, but chef's kiss. That's good stuff. Oh, nothing beats tteokbokki, man. Oh, like you can go to the restaurant to get it, bunchi. Nothing's better. Ooh, nothing is as good as making it at home. Oh, that is really good. Oh, the combination of makgeolli and tteokbokki, you just can't beat it. God, it is primo Korean food. Now, I know you guys in America probably can't get bokseondoga, but I hope you guys can find a good makgeolli to drink with it. Of course, you can get beer and soju, but I think makgeolli hits different when you're eating tteokbokki. But that's it, guys. That's tteokbokki. That's how it's made. I hope you guys have the chance, have the ingredients to be able to make it at home for yourself. Hopefully, I've given you everything you need to know. And like I said, to make tteokbokki, it's pretty simple. Now, the one thing that might be hard to find is that broth. So a very simple way to make tteokbokki that I was taught a long time ago, if you didn't want to go through that process, just use soy sauce and water. That's pretty much all you can, well, that's pretty much all you really need to do. I guess theoretically you could use chicken broth or veggie broth even if you really wanted to go that route. That might actually be pretty good as well. And if you guys end up doing that, let me know. Let me know how it tastes. Also, tteokbokki has a lot of varieties, a lot of different styles. I've made the most basic one. You could add cheese on top of that. I've seen tteokbokki with bacon, chadorbagi. Really, you can go ham on tteokbokki. It's such a great dish to make at home. 15 minutes tops, 15 to 30 minutes to make tops. Not counting for, actually counting for the prep time and all of that. It's really simple to make and it's so good. Like if you're just at home, you want something that feels good, tteokbokki. All right. If you guys decide to try this recipe and make it at home for yourself, please let me know if you were able to recreate it, if you're able to find the ingredients, and just let me know overall in the comments section below how you like the video. If you make it at home, how does it taste? And as always, YouTube, I love and appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Keep those subscribes, keep those likes, and I'll see you guys for another video. Peace out.